Hey, my nonprofit visionaries. It is Shalita, the nonprofit Easter O'Neill, here again with you, okay? Founder of the Nonprofit Visionary Academy. Your clutch, your go-to, come on, whatever you need, nonprofit, right? So today I'm coming to you with just a short little video about whether you should start a nonprofit or not. So I say nonprofit or no. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and they said, you know what? I don't know if I want to start a nonprofit or if I want to do a for-profit. And so what I want you to think about, and one, let's get the shame out the way. Let's get the, some people will think, okay, well, I can't make money. So, I can't give back and I can't make money at the same time. And, there's so many different myths. There's so many different attitudes towards people who start nonprofit organizations, or, myths around whether or not you can make money and be a social entrepreneur. And I'm here to tell you because I'm both. Okay. So I'm a nonprofiteer and I'm also an entrepreneur. Okay. So I understand the value of both. So first and foremost, if you're skittish around money, if you're skittish around whether or not you feel, what other people are going to think about a social cause and about you raising funds, I let it go, throw it out the window. It's 2018. There are hybrid organizations. There are people out here making lots and lots and lots of money and giving back to the community through a for-profit. There are people out here making lots and lots of money with a nonprofit organization. But I think what's important is for you to know the difference between the two, right? So if you're thinking about wanting to, a lot of people will feel like, well, I'm doing this event, or I'm doing events, and I want it to benefit folks. So do I have to make it a nonprofit organization? And my thing is, number one, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but you don't have to make it a nonprofit organization. If you're doing events and you're trying to, you can give back and do events. There are people who do all kinds of panels, all kinds of, gatherings like that, and it's for the benefit of people who otherwise wouldn't have access to the information. You don't necessarily have to start a nonprofit for that. Okay, when we talk about nonprofit, we're talking about you're going to be launching some programs, you're going to be going out there in the community, providing a service, you're going to be collecting data, that sort of thing. If you're not thinking of making it that sort of program where you're actually going to be providing services ongoing and towards a social good, and you're like, oh, but I still, it's easier to make money through a nonprofit because I can get grants, throw that out the window. If you just have an event-based endeavor that you're doing, you just want to do something here and there, you want to have a conference, you want to do stuff like that. People make a lot of money off of conferences that are for social good. So let's be clear about that. Let's get the whole, we're in a society now where it's almost like you're looked down upon if you are not giving back or giving your all and emptying your cup all the way out to the point where it's empty and you can't give to your family, you can't set up legacy for yourself, we're not about that life. Okay, you can give back and make money at the same time. But let's be very clear that with a nonprofit, that money cannot go to your family. It cannot go to your side entrepreneur endeavors. It can't do any of that. It's for the greater good of the organization and the greater good of the people that you're going to serve. And more than likely, the people who you are trying to serve cannot pay you. Okay, so you can't start a for-profit entity or be a social entrepreneur doing programming and ain't nobody can pay, ain't nobody paying. Okay, because that's not gonna work. Like entrepreneurship, people need to pay something. So if the people that you're wanting to work with and help and reach out to cannot pay you, then you might want to do a nonprofit. You might want to go ahead and get your 501c3 and raise some funds through public means and foundations and such, But if you're working with the population, they may not be able to pay you buku dollars, but they may be able to pay you. There's different ways people prioritize what they feel to be important. Understand that. So if people can pay you at some level, then make sure you can. It can be a for-profit endeavor. All right. So weigh your options. Understand with your for-profit, that's something you can pass down to your children. That is something nobody's asking you questions about how you're spending the money, even though you're still you still have to do your taxes. You still have to report things like that. You still have to be responsible, but it's in essence, it's your money. Okay. With a nonprofit, it's not your money, and you have a board who technically the organization belongs to. So either way is good. Some people start out with a nonprofit organization and they create a for-profit entity attached to their nonprofit. Some people start out with a for-profit entity and they start making some money, and then they want to give back and they have a nonprofit arm or launch a nonprofit that could then provide services to the population that maybe cannot pay. You can do it that way. So don't feel like you are backed into a corner if you make one choice that it's irreparable. There's nothing you can do about it. Oh my God, I started a Central Day. You don't worry about it. Okay, you can always later on, as you get your feet wet and you start figuring out how things are going, things are unfolding, programs are flowing, or you find out, okay, this isn't working as a for-profit, I need to do a nonprofit, people can't pay me, or there's an opportunity to be able to bring in revenues. Because I'm gonna tell you something before I go, because I don't want to keep the videos too long, but people will think that, oh well, with a nonprofit, all I have to do is write grants, all I have to do is get some foundation money and I'm good. You have to diversify your revenue regardless of what you do, whether you do a nonprofit or whether you do a for-profit entity. You have to be creative about piecing your money together, because there's not one revenue stream that's always gonna be there. Okay. And in my next video, I'll talk to you guys about how do you diversify your revenue. What are some different ways or different people you should reach out to, or ways you can piece your resources together so that you can keep your organization going. So just wanted to drop that, those little nuggets, nonprofit or no. Don't you feel ashamed about wanting to feed your family, about wanting to make sure you are creating generational wealth. Do not feel bad about that. You can still give back to people. You cannot give from an empty cup. So if you want to start a for-profit organization to help people, do that. There's ways to raise money. Yes, grants, you don't have to pay back, but that doesn't necessarily mean that grants are easy to get, because that's not necessarily the truth either. Okay. So if you're going to start a nonprofit and you want to just give back, and you know the people you're working with cannot pay you anything, go ahead and do that. You're still going to need to diversify your revenue and your income. You're going to have a board. That's all right. You're going to have some help, right? That's the whole point. You're going to have some help. You're going to have a board. You can't pass it down to your family or your children. That's all right. Okay. You want to start a for-profit? All right. Go ahead. You can start that. You can give back to folks. You can diversify your revenue. You are your own boss. You still have to report about how you use the money, but it's a little bit more lenient. You have a little bit more control over that. You can still give back. You can still make money. And you can still be a contribution to this world. Okay? All right, y'all. So stop tripping. Okay? All right. So until next time, it's Shalita, the nonprofit Issa O'Neal. If you need me in the meantime, want to check out how I can help you one-on-one, going over to my website, ShalitaO'Neal.com. I'll put the link below. Let me know if you need some one-on-one support. I know this could get a little crazy sometimes, a little confusing, but it doesn't have to be. All right? So hashtag nonprofit no filter, y'all. Nonprofit or no. Either way, you're going to be fine. Until next time, be blessed.